Good day to all of you who are joining us as part of the Breach to Freedom program. I welcome you and I thank you for joining us today again. We do come live on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 11:30. The beauty for this is that it's recorded and you're able to watch at your convenience. And if you're part of the Bridge to Freedom family, then obviously you can watch this over and over again. So, welcome once again. And the topic today, as you have seen earlier, based on the flyers that we've sent out, is let's not do anything in a haste. Not do anything in a haste. And you might hear that and say, wow, I don't have all the time in the world. But I want to submit to you that you're taking time and strategizing to do what is needful would work out for you better on the long run. You do not want to hastily present yourself in a spotlight when you're unprepared. There's one saying that goes, you only have one time to make the first impression. And that first impression, nobody would pay attention to whether it's your first time or if you've been doing it. But the fact remains that if we go in a position to incubate ourselves, to get ourselves ready to strategize, I want to say to you that you will have better outcomes in your plans in life. So being in a haste is not a good formula for a successful journey. As you and I know, success is a journey. It's never going to be a destination. And because we know it's never going to be a destination, it's very important to plan so that the false allure of the spotlight doesn't get into us, whereby we now feel like, oh, we are ready, and when we're not. So the biggest danger, especially for young professionals or business owners, is that false allele. You want to be noticed, you want to be seen, you want to be heard every minute, but you've got to do your homework. You have to do your homework. So being in a haste is not the solution. When you're doing your homework, you're going to be in a position of hibernation. You might sometimes be alone. You might sometimes have to grind with others who see what you see, or you might have to grind with others who you're trying to see what you see, but they're not quite there yet. All of these things that you're doing are needful and they're important to that expected destination of wanting to be seen in the spectrum of life, especially with this social media world that we're in. Who doesn't want to be seen? Where you can literally sit and create news around what you believe in. But be careful. Let there be consistency. Let there be ability to have resources and references to whatever you're going to brand. Because when you position yourself, you are putting your brand out there, and your brand is being watched by other people. So you are either directly or indirectly influencing others. So never be in a hurry. You never know who is watching you. I would always tell my mentees a lot of times, I listen, one thing for sure is our life is on the www. That's the World Wide Web. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You might just want to go live and do something very quickly. You've got to be prepared. You cannot be in a haste, because when you're in a haste, then there's room for errors. Not that you won't still make mistakes, guys, but when you have prepared yourself, you build your confidence. Your confidence is what's going to propel you to be able to engage on those platforms that you clearly believe that is what you want. There's some platforms that you're anxiously looking and waiting to be part of, but please, let's not do anything in a haste. Guess what? That platform can only be stronger, can only be better when you bring your authentic self into it. When you bring your authentic self into this, you definitely understand that that is going to be you, and then you will be able to tolerate, you'll be able to persevere and still get to the expected end. Remember, the goals that you have that's bigger than you is going to come alive as long as you know that it takes a process, it takes time, it takes patience. All of this are needful in everything that we do. So the value in taking your time is endless. And when I say taking your time, guys, it doesn't mean you're going to fold your arms and just be watching the ceiling and just waste away. No, I'm just saying that you are grinding more to be able to feel yourself of your true authentic self, free yourself. I mean, fool yourself with your authentic self. You want to feel yourself with your authentic self when you are in your quiet space. You're being patient or waiting or not being a haste clearly does not mean that you don't do anything. It means you do all things. All those things don't just have to be public yet. When it's ripe and ready for you to present it, your confidence would have risen and will help your presentation. It will help your communication. It will help you to even know the magnitude of your worth. WORTH. Because you've got to know your worth. You're thinking, what, how do I know my worth? Nobody can answer that in a minute, but we can answer that through the Bridge to Freedom program that we're inviting you all to be part of. The first 200 people will be part of that group. One thing for sure, in this program, you will see and hear a lot of live people who have been there, done it, not just those who maybe have heard about it, those who have been through it. You will be able to see that if they can do it, you can do much more. So in this program, we come with our authentic self. We come with what we have, and we know we carry a lot of things within us that would help us to be able to share, care, and return to better serve ourselves and the bigger calling. So for you to want to be in the spotlight, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that premature anxiety that pushes us to want to be seen, to want to be heard, to want to be known. All of those things will come to play. It sure will come to play. It can be detrimental to you when you're not prepared, when you're not positioned, when you're not powered up to get into that space. And then you do get into the space. Of course, you have great intentions. We always do. That's why we speak with passion. That's why we even show up and want to do anything. It's out of passion. But the premature preparation can make our passion be misconstrued. It doesn't mean that you will always get it right. It doesn't mean that I will always get it right. But your intentions have to be well packaged in a way that you and I understand that, listen, yes, I'm sitting in my quiet place. Yes, I'm sitting in my lonely place. Yes, I'm sitting in my grinding place. Yes, I'm going from point A to point B, expanding my network or contracting my network. Sometimes your network in some areas need to be contracted. That's another topic. When you find that your time is not being valued, or you know that you're never going to have more than 24 hours in a day. I would never have more than 24 hours in a day. So now you decide, how do you spend this time? Spending this time sometimes doesn't mean that you have to be seen all the time. Spending it in quiet moment, not in a haste, doesn't mean you're neglecting or severing yourself from others. It just means you're being intentional. You're being intentional with every moment, every season, every step that you take, because you have a strategy. When you are in your quiet place, when you're not being in a hurry, you're able to build. You're able to listen more. You're able to hear more. You're able to open your eyes wide, open your minds wide enough that you and you yourself know what is that thing that makes you feel very, very valuable. What is that thing that makes you feel like, even if I'm not paid, I will get this job done? What is that thing that makes you to want to say, you know what, I want to be a legend. I want to be part of history. I want to be a someone who, when they remember his or her name, they can say, wow, he or she did her best. What is that? It takes that being in a quiet moment. It takes that being in that lonely, not in a hurry place. You know what happens when you're in too much of a hurry? Sometimes you get burnt. Your spotlight can be very intoxicating, just like those who drink. When they've had a little extra to drink, they get intoxicated. So you see somebody who generally cannot say too many words that are not too pleasant, just cracking jokes that are so expensive, then you're thinking, ooh, this doesn't look normal. This person must be doing something, or somebody must be on something. That's what happens when you prematurely put yourself out there and you're not quite ready, and you get the accolades of men. Of course, the accolades of men will come, and the same accolades of men that came would also come in another version when they turn against the fact that everything you're doing, they don't see anything good in it. Not that you want to be a man pleaser, not at all, not at all. But there's a power in you when you carry yourself in a way that you know that you have a game plan, you have a roadmap to where you're going. Of course, do you know all of the steps? Maybe not. Sometimes you have to digress to see other things that will reconnect you. But during those times, you're building to be stronger and better and deeper. You're building wide, tall, every angle that you can build. And you're building your network as you're building yourself, because you alone cannot carry this journey to the expected destination. Absolutely not. That spotlight that you want, that you're in a haste to be in, it's all good, but it can even be better if you have other people who maybe through your lonely moments of working on yourself, you engage with them. Those people could be your mentors, they could be your friends, they could be your co-workers who align together. I remember when I was in corporate America, or even in my businesses, there are people that I call and pull their brains. I mean, I pick their brains to see, to run things by them, just so I can hear their own version of it. I did that a lot in my corporate setting, because I had a few of my colleagues who I know that we were both grinding to rise up in corporate America, and we were going through the same struggles. I didn't like to speak in public, but I was nailing my goals, doing everything that I needed to do. And I know this other person too wasn't. So we came up, and he told me, he said, I went to Dale Carnegie. That was the first break. And that was how I knew. So there are people you're going to be talking to. Just because you're not in that limelight yet doesn't mean you're not building. If you ask a lot of the successful people that we want to be like when we grow up, they will tell you point blank the sleepless nights, the days and things that they have done, the preparation they've been doing, and still they don't feel like every single preparation led them to say, you know what, the world needs to see it. So you've got to be in a position that you can incubate yourself, you can hibernate yourself and enjoy yourself, like yourself, in a way that even when you're still building and you're still building, you know that the building is not coming as quick as you want it. It's not as fast. You're running into roadblocks here and there, but you're going to keep focused. That's going to help you to have a stronger base, because then you can check off those things that didn't work. Or even if it ended up working, that could be a success story. That could be what you now, as a leader, as a mentor, as a mentee, or as just a professional, can use to say, you know what, I've been through this. This is how it was done. So your not being in a haste is very, very important. You're not being in a haste and getting that publicity that you can't sustain. It's really not worth it, because if you cannot sustain what you start, that second chance might not come quickly. Yes, you will get a second chance. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, never will there be a second chance. But you only have that first time to make the first impression. And in this day and age that we have the social media, we have the people media, we have so many medias and people who are creating their own narratives about us. It is important that we know what is our narrative. What is my narrative? What is your narrative? So you've got to be gun-ho on what your narrative is. So when you know what your narrative is and who you are and you're building towards it, you should not be in a haste to rush it and show it to the world. No, especially if you think that you can do more. You can do more, because when you are not prepared, when I'm not prepared, I'll use myself an example, and I rush into anything. Number one, you come into that thing not feeling full, not feeling all energized, feeling like a little afraid, a little nervous, whereby you think that maybe if you had spent a few moments to look through these things, it might have made you feel you show up correct. I mean, your show up, your presence alone commands respect. But when you haven't done what you're supposed to do, then there's that intimidation of yourself, not even anybody. You walk in there because you know you haven't done your homework. Just like a student who hasn't done their homework and there's a quiz and so on and so forth, they're not going to feel ready. They're smart, but just because they didn't prepare, it's going to make them feel unready. So you're probably hearing, don't be in a hurry to be seen. Yes. And that's sage advice, especially when it comes to your career. When it comes to your career, do not be in a hurry to be seen. In your business, do not be in a hurry to be seen. You've got to plan. You've got to find ways to test what you want to execute. You've got to see how consistent can you be in this race. How much time, how much consistency can come out of what you're starting. Because once you start something and people get into it, they're going to be excited. They're going to want to be part of it. So you definitely want to make sure that you are so ready, at least for the little bit. You don't have to know everything, but whatever you show up to say you are going to display should be something you can continue. Because remember, you're on that www. People are watching you. And because they are watching you, they're going to see what's good, what's not too good. But that's not even where we're going. You just have to make sure you come correct and you're ready. So my takeaways that I want to leave you as we're unwinding is to let you know that patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. And patience doesn't mean that you're ignorant. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means that you are wise enough to be patient enough for yourself and the people around you, that you're wise enough to use your emotional intelligence, which is not the same as intelligent quotient, but your emotional intelligence is so very critical to be used. So there's a lot of importance in patience. There's so many things that we need to drive home when it comes to patience. For instance, you're angry and you just want to tell people where they belong. If you patiently hold your breath and not say anything, you give it a little bit of time, that level of anger will diminish. And then you can go out and do what you need to do and communicate in a way that makes sense. Do not be eager to make name for yourself. If your singular goal is to make name for yourself and you're rushing and doing it, you're going to get to a point that, number one, it will be a chore. It will be so tiresome that you won't be able to find results. Results will come in form of money. Results will come in form of you having relationship that you can leverage others. It will come in form of so many relationship currency, and all of those things are needed. Yes, money is important and needed, but there are other things that are also needed. I tell a lot of people that I'm around that are emerging leaders about the power of strategic volunteerism, the power of giving back to something that you believe in, or even if you don't believe in it yet, giving back to something that you can learn about to see, is this something you can believe in? When you do all of that, all of those things will help you. And when it does help you, you're going to start believing and discovering who truly are you. What are those important things that you deserve and that you desire? Because you might learn that from that strategic volunteerism. But patiently, you are there serving. It doesn't mean that whatever you're serving to help do, it's not below your pay grade. That's not the point. The point is that you're going there with a heart of service, patiently, painstakingly, sometimes learning things that maybe you just need to learn, but the price you're paying to learn it, you look at it and you're like, this is too much. But hey, there's never too much in what you think will help you get to that next level. You have to keep your eyes on the prize, even though when we're saying don't be in a haste. What is that prize? Where is that expected end? What exactly are you trying to accomplish? What is it? What is that one thing that you're trying to accomplish? How do you begin to itemize what you know and how you know to accomplish it? What are those things that you are not able to reach that is needed to accomplish it? Because you won't always have all the ingredients that you need to achieve whatever. Even when I'll use an example. When you're cooking in the house and you get into the refrigerator, maybe you didn't plan before, and you're like, I'm going to cook tonight. And then you get there, there's no onions, there's no red pepper. I like to do a lot of stew and jollof rice and all that, and you don't see all of that. You're not going to be able to cook unless you want to go back out to go get those ingredients. So in those quiet moments, not being in a hurry, you are making sure that all those ingredients that you will need, they are ready. They are ready for you. So when you say, I want to do this, you're able to do it, and you're able to carry an army of believers, supporters who would say, how can I help you? Or how can I give you feedback? What can I do for you? And then you turn around and reciprocate that same kindness, that same goodness that you want to give them. It's usually a result of years and years of hard work, guys, that leads to a little bit of success journey. There's no microwavable overnight, I want to get important phenomena. Never, none, will never be. You might see a lot of things that looks glamorous and you see that it's unfolding in your eyes. A lot of work went behind for that to manifest in your face. It didn't just happen. It did not just happen. When you look at people, I always jokingly tell people, when people say, oh, you're in this, you're in that, I always gently say, what bus stop of my life did you meet me? Was it the bus stop when I was a teenager, born in my country, came as a teenager, in corporate America, in community America? Which one? So depending on where you met me, you might evaluate me and say, oh, you're doing too much. Or is it when I got a dint of being with a small business administration? I was in a meeting the other day. Everybody there, we worked together before. I never made any point to say I knew anybody because there was no need. The more you tell people you know people, they start getting worried and thinking maybe you're making up stories. So I've learned from what my mother said. Sometimes you just show and tell rather than speak and tell. So we didn't know this and that. I'm like, even if I try to tell you, that's going to be another brownie points that you would think I'm trying to throw in. So why not just let you find out? So I'm telling you that sometimes when you're not in a haste to quickly introduce who you are or what you're doing, it's a good thing. But be building, be grinding when you're doing all of that. And know that there's a prize. Where are you going? What is that expected end that you're trying to reach? It might be that you want to rise up in corporate setting, or it might be that your business is from a very low level now, zero income, and you want to grow it to millions. So what are those things that you're going to do? You want to be where your priorities are. If you're a community leader and you want to make a change in a particular area, you want to bring the community together so that we truly enjoy diversity and inclusion, which leads to unity, not just on paper, then you know what you're going to do. But when you're doing those things, you're not just going to be saying it as you're doing it. You've got to be able to have systems that are in place that will make it work for you. And that is exactly the only way that you can truly say, you know what? I can do this. I can be quiet. And I got this. I got that. Talk is cheap, guys. Talk is cheap. And I'm going to end it in another 4 minutes. Talk is cheap. Do we need to talk? Yes, we do. Do we need to stay quiet in our power? When I'm quiet, that's my power. That's my power place. When I don't say a thing, that is where my strength lies. The minute I open my mouth, then part of my strength is not done. Now you know my power. So when I'm quiet in my pregnant pause, I know my family knows that. When I'm quiet in my pregnant pause, everybody wants to hear what is in that head. And unless I open my mouth to express what it is, you can't know it. So, what is that pregnant pause that you need to have in your life to ensure that, yes, when you're not saying anything and you're not in a haste, it doesn't mean you're not working. Guys, I do work, and I know you all do too. So, working does not mean that everything you're working on has to be advertised, especially when you have not found out the true formula. So, if you're one of those who are going to join and listen at the different channels, join the Bridge to Freedom. This is a program that we have designed exclusively to ensure that we share demonstrated best practices. You won't just hear from me, you'll hear from other speakers, and then you will also have the ability to be coached by me and also other leaders who are my mentors, some are my mentees. We do reverse mentorship in this program. One thing for sure, it will be a safe space. It will be authentic because we don't want to change anyone to be anybody. We just want everybody to know that it's okay to be in your skin. It's okay to be you. That is the only way you can be free. That's why we call it Bridge to Freedom. The only way to freedom is for you to find yourself, embrace yourself, and share the love and care to the world. Thank you all for joining. This time we are going to be on same time on Thursday and on Sunday for our Empowerment Sunday. And right after this, if you're part of the Bridge to Freedom, we have a coaching clinic from 11:45 to 12:15 p.m. where you can ask all questions. I will be live and direct, and we will take questions. We'll get to know each other and know what are you working on. How can we truly work on it? And I hear people say mentorship is important, but who is mentioning your name in that room? Who is thinking about you when those opportunities are there? You need to join Bridge to Freedom if you're looking for that collaborative community where you're not just being told that, oh, you're a mentee, but you are also being shown and being remembered, being mentioned in the room. That's what my mentees are telling me. Who is mentioning our name in the room? Yes, we love mentorship. Who is mentioning? If you want people to mention your name and guide you to how your name can be mentioned, you definitely need to join our Bridge to Freedom program. And that is what it's all about. So I look forward to all of you joining. Thank you today for joining. And I do hope that we see you on Thursday. And please share the link if you have gotten any value out of this. And please join the Bridge to Freedom family. Let's make the world a better place. Blessings.